snapping at my SIL after she accused me of trying to replace my kid's father. I, 33F, became widowed when I was just 29. I spent 9 wonderful years with my husband John, and we were happily married for more than 6 of those years. We welcomed our first daughter Ellie, 11F, and he was a doting father to her. His death was so unexpected and sudden, as he was only 32, and it broke me and Ellie. It was even sadder because we had found out not long before he died that I was pregnant with Sophie, 3F, and he never got to meet her. I have spent the past 4+ years being on my own. All my attention went to Ellie to help cope with losing her dad and to provide as best a life I could for her and my then unborn child as a single mom. I convinced myself I was content with being fulfilled by motherhood and watching the 2 people I love more than anything grow and be happy, but it's been incredibly lonely. I have missed company and companionship, or even just having someone to talk to, so I decided to put myself back out there. I joined a dating site around 2/3 months ago, and I really hit it off with Danny after being on there for a couple of weeks, 35M. We have been on several dates and have been talking a lot. I know it's early days, but it honestly feels refreshing just having someone to talk to about my day or about me, as I spent so long just forgetting about me for the sake of my kids that it's nice that someone wants to know me. It's like I have opened up a part of myself and allowed myself to be happy after so long. I loved my husband very much and I have missed him terribly, but I know he's never coming back. I think 4 years is a long time to spend on your own, and I think even I have left it long enough that it's okay to meet someone else. I was really excited, so I decided to tell my SIL, my late husband's sister, as she is very close to my nieces and helped me a lot when John died. I told her that I have met someone, it is going well, he is very nice, I feel happy around him, and that I hope it progresses eventually. She didn't take the news well and actually got really angry and said that I'm moving on too quickly and that I'm trying to replace John. I got really angry myself and I snapped. I asked her how long she expected me to be on my own. 5 years? 10? Until the kids are grown? I told her I have spent 4 years mourning and that she had some nerve to insinuate my husband's death meant nothing to me and that I'm going to let some random man enter my children's lives, which isn't happening at all. He hasn't met my kids and he isn't going to anytime soon, if at all, depending on how well things go with us. Plus, I am not looking for someone to replace John or someone to become a dad to my children. I just miss romance, that's all. I haven't really spoken to her since, as her comments have left me furious. She has sent me messages saying she is sorry I took her words the wrong way, but that she is just looking out for me and the kids, but I think it's BS. I have been discussing this with a friend of mine and asked for her opinion. She thinks I have sacrificed a lot over the last few years and I am allowed to move on with my life. She also says my SIL is completely out of line and was deeply insensitive, especially since my husband's death completely broke me and it was like my whole world was taken from me. Comment 1. NTA. Everyone grieves differently, but 4 years seems like a socially appropriate amount of time for you to have put off dating. Maybe your SIL just wasn't the right person to share your news with, in hindsight. Comment 2. NTA. She crossed a line for sure. It's such a shame she couldn't be happy for you after all this time. You sound like you had a good relationship before that though, so will you be able to forgive her? Comment 3. NTA. 4 years is a respectful time to wait before dating by any reasonable measure. And you deserve companionship and love if that is what you need. Being lonely won't help you to be a good parent. And being in a new relationship doesn't replace your old husband, this is something completely new. Your friend was right that your SIL was completely out of line. I think you are right, she isn't looking out for you and the kids, she is looking out for her image of you as the last connection to her brother. Which is wrong, she still has your kids and her memories of her brother. But she needs to understand that you are your own person with her own life, not some memory she can freeze in place. Going through my friend's closet to find my wedding dress? 2 years ago, my husband and I were doing some renovations to our house. I didn't want my wedding dress to get damaged or lost in the process. Which, considering we did lose a few things during the renovation, I was right to be concerned. My friend offered to keep it in her closet until the renovations were done. After we finished the renovations, I asked my friend for the dress back. She kept saying she'd get back to me. I kept asking and she'd make up excuses. I found it weird. Now, my sister is getting married and she wanted to wear the dress. This was our mother's dress and we always agreed we'd each wear it. I told my friend I need it back. She claimed she couldn't find it. I was perplexed because how does it just get up and walk away? She apologized and offered to pay me the cost of the dress, which I turned down because it wasn't about money. The dress was sentimental and I felt terrible my sister couldn't wear it. My friend and her husband went away. I was there to water their plants and feed their dogs. I decided to go look myself. The closet was very cluttered. I eventually found the dress. I can totally believe that she missed where it was and she wasn't being malicious in the slightest. The box was tucked behind a few larger ones containing seasonal clothes. I texted her saying I found the dress. Instead of being happy for me, she asked why I rummaged through her closet. I said I just wanted to double check. She told me I had no right to go through her things. I said that because of her clutter, my sister almost didn't get to wear a dress she always dreamed of. My friend told me that I could have asked her to look again, but I pointed out it took 2 years for her to even look in the first place. Comment 1. NTA: if I was in your friend's situation and I genuinely couldn't find the dress, then I would frankly have invited you to look around for it while you were in the house doing me a favor. But I also am the type of person who would just assume that someone I trust enough to water my plants and feed my dog is also someone I trust in my space. Snooping is a fairly natural instinct, and you had a specific reason for it. Even if she's legit about not liking that you went through her stuff, she went on the defensive immediately instead of being relieved that you managed to find the dress. That just seems suspicious to me. I would say meeting up with your friend to explain and hear what she has to say might be worthwhile, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is the end of the friendship either. Comment 2. NTA: you just sent I found the dress not saying where you found it. If she didn't know where it was, why did she accuse you of going through her closet? Seems to me she knew exactly where it was and for whatever reason, didn't want to give it back. This woman is not your friend. Comment 3. NTA: I feel like your friend was being shady by offering money instead of finding a family heirloom. I think I never would have told her that I found the dress and I would have let her find out by seeing your sister's wedding photos. Additionally, I totally would have let her plants die. Asking my husband to not come to my prenatal appointment. Prior to my 4th prenatal appointment, my husband and I got into a fight. The fight occurred while I was describing a situation at work and got frustrated and emotional while explaining myself. My husband was questioning and challenging my interpretation of it, and I felt he was being argumentative, so I said, "You wouldn't understand, you don't have to work with gossips and judgmental people. He works from home and has limited in-person interaction with other people for his job." I started crying out of frustration and he got angry and said I was blowing up over nothing. He then went silent and didn't speak to me the rest of the day. His conflict management style is the silent treatment, often for days, sometimes for 1 to 2 weeks at a time. Anticipating this, I told him that if we were not on speaking terms at the time of my prenatal appointment, that I do not feel comfortable with him coming and that I would get ultrasound images and provide a summary of the appointment for him. I told this to him in words and by text. Well, he showed up to my prenatal appointment and forced himself in. I was too humiliated to make a scene but quietly said, "WTF are you doing here?" Afterwards he said, "It's our baby, so it's our appointment," and I said, "Actually I am the patient and it's my appointment and you are there as a visitor." I told him I felt violated and betrayed. Truly I feel bullied by his behavior and would like an apology. I wanted him to be there, and he has come to most of my other appointments, but I didn't feel comfortable with him being there if he was engaging in the silent treatment and aggression. He maintains that he has every right to be at my doctor's appointments whether I am okay with it or not. Edit: my husband asked to speak with me this evening and we had a calm and productive talk. This is a quick turnaround time for him. He clarified that he did overreact and blow up over my crying due to him misunderstanding something I said, and that he did think my being upset about work was valid. I did not anticipate the amount of responses regarding my mention of the silent treatment. I now wish I didn't mention it in this particular post, though appreciate all your advice, especially the heartfelt and enlightening responses from those of you who suffered under a parent or partner, and those of you who use or have used the silent treatment yourselves. There have been a handful of instances of the silent treatment that were 1 to 3 weeks long. Most other instances were a few days. I knew the silent treatment was wrong. It makes me feel terrible, and I know it can be abusive when used to manipulate or punish. I don't recall him using the silent treatment like that until last year, so this oddly wasn't an issue earlier in our relationship, even though he describes it as a long-term behavior for him that was normal growing up in his family. I spoke tonight about how damaging it was and my fear for his doing it again in front of, or to, our kid. He agreed it was unacceptable and has to change. I also have some conflict responses of my own that I'd like to work on. My husband does individual therapy and has for some time. I do not currently plan on doing couples therapy again, as I did not find it very productive, rather sometimes counterproductive. We both will continue individual therapy. Comment 1. I think your husband's actions are a form of emotional abuse. Not speaking for weeks is not a mature way to handle differences and can be considered abuse. How will this impact your child? I hope that you both will get couples therapy before your child is born to improve your communications. Comment 2. NTA, nothing worse than trying to vent and someone just contradicts you and accuses you of overreacting. He absolutely does not have the right to attend your appointments, and I would make a point of letting the doctor know this could be an issue in future. As for the silent treatment, what is he, 12? Is this how he plans to resolve arguments with your child? Comment 3. He counts on your humiliation to not make a scene and get his way. All you had to do was speak to the nurse or doctor and say, I do not want him here during the appointment. They have the authority to turn him out. Laughing at how my friend used her inheritance. I decided to post this with the help of my husband, who is unsure if my behavior was over the line. Here's what he thought was important for the sake of the story. My friend of about 17 years, Delilah, 37F, had a very problematic childhood. She barely went to school because her only parent was addicted to substances, among many other problems. I don't know how she slipped through the system for so long, but she was pretty much a lost cause by high school because of how little discipline she had. At 23, her dad died, and due to the matter of death, Delilah won a somewhat large sum of money. Once he got that money, Delilah chose to go to a community college. I guess she learned to love learning and had so many interests she never knew about that she went to several schools in most of her 20s and came out with several degrees. So my view, I've held my tongue on her wasting so much money on school. I guess if it was my money I'd want to save it or explore, then get a degree, not go head first. She has 6 degrees and to me it's just silly. The real kicker is my husband is an engineer and makes more than she does, despite all her side jobs and projects. Well, we were visiting her and she mentioned how she wanted to study history and maybe take a class or 2 online for the fun of it. I laughed and asked if any of her inheritance was still even left. She said that shouldn't be my concern. I admitted it was ridiculous. She could have just bought a nice house with that money, instead of blowing it on degrees that she doesn't even use. She told me all her degrees served a purpose. She loves what she does now and loves learning because she was deprived of it as a child. She told me she wasn't going to defend herself to someone who did not grow in a similar situation. My husband told her to calm down. After is now awkward and I'm not sure if I need to apology or not. Comment 1. YTA. You sound incredibly jealous. I wonder if all this hate and jealousy is stemming from the fact you didn't get to attend school after high school. You said your husband makes more money than her and not you, so my question is, are you making more money than her? It doesn't matter if she spends her money on drugs or spending it on nothing but shoes and electronics, because guess what? It's her money and she can do as she pleases with it. Also, she is a literal icon to me. I haven't been doing well in school much, better than her by how you explained it, so Delilah, also my name, but without the H, is giving me hope that I can still try and make it into school and my dream career. Comment 2. YTA. Like she said, how she spends her money is none of your concern. Feel how you want, but keep it to yourself. Also, why feel a need to point out that your husband makes more money than her? Does that matter? Comment 3. YTA, she was put in a fortunate financial position to do what she wanted to do and enjoy herself. Her finances are not your concern.
Not letting a service dog into my party. I, 29M, hosted a pumpkin carving party for my friends, and I this past weekend, and a decision I made is causing drama amongst us. The party was indoors as it's still nearly 100 during the day where I'm at. I dislike cats and dogs, any and all. My friends know this. Primarily, I think they are filthy. I want nothing to do with them because of that. A buddy and his current fling, early relationship girlfriend, however you want to define it, showed up. She has a golden retriever with her. I did not know this dog was coming. No one ran this by me, I would have said no. I pulled him aside and told him the dog had to go. He says if the dog has to go, she has to go, and then I have to go too. I just say, come on man, you should know better than to bring a dog to my house. He said that it's a service animal, apparently for diabetes. He thought it would be different. I said no, it might medically help her, but it's still a fucking animal. He starts arguing but maintain my stance. I offered to keep it in the garage with the AC on. He goes and talks to his girl and she looks annoyed. I felt bad about that. They opt to leave. He lets me know I'm in a hole. My friends were all split on how I handled it. Comment 1. ESH, your friend should have said something knowing your feelings towards animals. Totally agree with that. But your whole post screams I am a disrespectful hole calling his girlfriend his current fling. Don't get me started in how you talk about cats and dogs. Personally, I think I would have enjoyed the presence of the golden retriever more than yours. Comment 2. Nobody comes out of this looking good. Your buddy should have given you a heads up beforehand. Your anti-animal stance is so extreme that you chased away a friend. You don't have to love dogs or anything, but maybe you should step back and figure out why your animal hostility level is so high that even a medical service animal sitting there and minding its own business is somehow a crisis. Comment 3. NTA. I'm all for service animals being allowed places, but when you are going to a private event, especially at a private home, it's not okay to just assume an animal is welcome. What if you had a guest that was severely allergic? Let alone the fact that you are 100% allowed to just never want pets in your home. Them not asking ahead of time was an our move. You didn't make a scene, you offered a compromise and pulled him aside.